relevant, even if they aren't
Sorry
human.
about that. Why do you think that they are?
They're worthless. I mean, so because that's ultimately him down to is side bogs them down and sort of backs them into this corner of trying to define when human life starts, and then this whole ultimately, are you okay with murder? What if it were 5-year-old children? Are you going to? Ultimately, I just found a way to sidestep that, and even if by saying even if they are human life, I'm totally okay with killing them. In that case, I would be condoning murder because they're irrelevant.
All right. So when do you think life starts?
Oh, when it starts, it's irrelevant to the question.
All right. So you don't like. So fetuses' lives don't matter. Like, what are you trying to argue then?
That would be legal, and that if you because the biggest opponent they would have, the argument that the other side would have would be that it is systemic babies. To which I would just say, so what?
All right. Well, I believe that life starts at the moment of conception. So I think that a fetus begins is like it's forming to be a human life, and so I think that it does matter because like that's the beginning of life. Like that
Okay,
will
so why does
be
that?
kind of like you were a
Why would
fetus at some point.
yes? Is that just because constitute? Does that then take precedence over anything else? And so what?
So
I
what?
mean, I feel like there's a hierarchy in terms of life, and their fetuses are more undesirable. Obviously, if you want to carry it to term, go ahead, by all means. Have a kid, sure. But if you don't, I feel like as long as you nip it in the bud in the first trimester when it's irrelevant, go ahead. I don't know if or not. And you say, oh, well, it's not murder. Yes, it is. And I don't have a problem with it.
So you're saying that an abortion in the first trimester when the human is a fetus is murder, but you just don't care.
If I were, yes, it would be murder, and in that sense, in that event, I would not. I would say it's a life that doesn't matter, and that irrelevant, and that its existence should not supersede the desires of the mother, or in some case, and the mother.
So then what would be the difference of the murder of a fetus versus the murder of like you or your mother or your father?
Like if I was to go home for the holidays and then my parents just decided to come and chop me up into little pieces.
Sure.
So basically I'm already established as a person. I'm breathing. I like attend school and stuff. I'm an established person. My life has already gained relevance by the fact that I'm no longer a fetus. A fetus doesn't have it. They don't offer anything. They don't contribute anything to society. They don't. I mean, if you really break it down, it's basically a clump of cells, which I know then you'll say, oh, well, aren't you technically also just a clump of cells? Yes, but I'm a more developed version of that. And anything that can fit in, look, anything that needs a microscope to really see it, I don't find it relevant. It doesn't, I don't see how it's more important than else.
All right, so I was just trying to like get a hold on exactly what you're trying to argue. I think I kind of understand. So like what you're trying to say is that because like a fetus is not developed and because it doesn't have like memories or experiences, then it's not relevant and like its termination doesn't really matter.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So let's use like a different analogy. Let's say you played a sport. Let's play baseball, okay, or
Mm-hmm.
football, and there was a starting quarterback. He has tons of experience, and he's really good. He's gonna let's say go to the NFL draft and be drafted first round pick. He's amazing. Then there's a freshman in high school who's never played football before in his life, and he wants a chance. Like and he has a chance to be really good at football. But if he's never given the chance to play, how do you know how well he's going to play? Or how do you know, like if you don't give him a chance, then do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and in that case, I would simply just say that, you know, and back to then to the comparing that to a fetus, I would say a fetus doesn't really deserve a chance. If they get one, that's fine. Pretty much everyone who's alive has gotten one. Great. If they don't, that's not my problem. They're not automatically entitled to making it out of the womb. Most do, some don't. So there are winners and losers, and I'm a winner.
Okay. I don't really know what to like. Can you like argue something so I can argue back?
I mean, exactly what I've been saying. Like fetus, the life of a fetus, I don't think has value beyond what it so kind of like what you were saying, beyond what it has the potential to become, but in its current, it has absolutely zero value, in which case I'm perfectly fine if I grant that it is a baby. I'm perfectly fine terminating it because it currently has no value,
but it has potential.
Yeah,
right?
sure. So if you let it grow,
at
it
what
can have
point can you
potential,
turn that potential into like real value?
No, because in its current form, it has absolutely zero value in society. If you continue, then it will eventually have a value, but in its state as a fetus, it has none, which is why I'm okay with murdering it.
In a large scale, the fetus doesn't matter because like it's not going to affect society as a whole. But if you look closer at the fetus, like it has value. Like to the mother, it has value. To the father, it has value. Of course, their morals might differ, but
well, like, if they're
like if you compare that to energy, let's say, like kinetic versus potential energy, then like potential energy has value, even though the energy isn't being used at the time. It has value. So if the fetus, it has potential to become something. So if you don't like, do you know what I'm saying? Like if it has potential to do something, and if you don't give it that chance, like
also, I mean, having potential to do something also means they have the potential not to do something. And again, that's why ultimately I view it as it's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, and I think that they should be able to be terminated without, if even if it does have value to its parents, well, clearly that value has to be not very high if they're taking it in for an abortion.
I think the value stands no matter what. I think it's depending on how the parents think, and like it's their choice technically, but I think that, I mean, it's your choice if you want to go murder someone. It's your choice if you want to go steal someone. It's like someone's stuff, but is that the right thing to do? Like you can view this from a religious standpoint. You can view this from like a scientific, naturalistic standpoint. Both ways, abortion is not the right thing to do. Religiously, it's immoral. Naturalistic, it's against the promotion of the species. So in both arguments, a fetus life should matter. And even like if you, there's an analogy somewhere I heard it where it says, this is kind of bad, but if there's a fire and then there's the mother, the father, and a baby, and they're all in the fire, the father gets out, and the father can go and rescue one person, the mother or the child. Who should they rescue? They should rescue.
Yeah, the babies, they can continue on, so they can create another generation. No, I mean, I get that, but I mean, again, but the difference there, though, that baby has already been thrown out of the vagina. Okay, I mean, the mother already got sweaty and screamed like crazy out, so it's already in existence in reality. Whereas in a fetus, it's not there yet.
Right.
So it's basically like think about like a plant. You plant a seed and it can grow into the plant that it, whatever that seed was. I don't even know if plants are planted by seeds. I don't know. But anyway, just bear with me. So let's say that that's the case, that plants grow from seeds. I don't actually know if they do or not. But you plant this seed. Let's say tree. trees. I think they come from seeds. Let's just go with it. So you plant the seed and it can grow into something else. And if you just plant it, bury it, water it, next day you decide to dig it up and then you just destroy it. It's effectively the same thing. You haven't really done anything wrong. I mean, it was a seed that was buried in dirt yesterday, and the next day, weed buried in dirt that you decided to dig up and decide you didn't want to do anything with it.
All right.
Versus if it was already a tree and you started chopping it down and hacking away with an axe, then obviously you're, chopping down a tree.
Mm-hmm. But you're ruining the potential of it to become something.
I guess, but don't really have a problem with that.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you want me to like? I'm not gonna try to change your viewpoint. Like we're just like trying to argue, but like you have to give me something to like argue. You know what I mean?
For what? What do I have to? What do I have to give? I'm stating. Like I don't think in life of fetuses matter, or at least are important enough to supersede the desires of their parents. And thus I have no problem with abortion. And if you classify it as murder, then I guess I would not really care.
All right. So are you arguing against abortion? Are you arguing against the value of a human life or a fetus life?
I would be. I got a good point. What if a woman gets raped and pregnant? Is abortion? Yeah, sure. I should also clarify that most of this, what I'm talking about, is in the first trimester.
Yeah.
So in that sense, like I do see where you get. So like what you were saying about development and everything, I view that as once you get into like the third trimester. I mean, my sister was born at 23 weeks or whatever, and she's like alive now and stuff. So that, I don't blame at all. I'm talking purely in the fetal. To answer O'Neill _AJ, if they get raped, providers trimester, I don't really have a problem. I guess the only exception would be some don't know that they're pregnant right away. I don't know. So.
Right. So, in all this discussion, like the only things that there's only really like, two sides that we can argue because, like it's not like alive yet. So like all you can argue is the potential of it to become something, and you're saying that potential does not matter.
Correct.
Like its potential to something does not matter, and it shouldn't be given a chance.
I mean, I'm not like. I mean, in the case if you want to have an abortion, I mean, obviously I'm not saying everyone who gets pregnant should go and get an abortion. But so I'm not like arguing that everyone should have abortions all the time. But
so you're arguing like at only special circumstances?
No, not even. I mean, I generally think that abortion should be the primary functions of abortion are. I see it as a last effort birth control and as population control.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I mean, there have been governments like who've tried to like control the populations, like China, like they tried to kill women like as a baby because they don't think that women have as much importance as men do. And most people would argue that that's immoral because like women of course want to feel like they have equal rights, and I agree with that. And so like I feel like that's immoral. They did that, and even though they did do it and they can do it, is that the right thing to do? That's the question. And
sorry,
that was just like an analogy, and like I bring it back to like abortion if you're looking at a fetus specifically, it's just starting to become like something. Like the cells are still duplicating, they're still forming all the systems or organs, but what you're looking at is the life, quotes, if that's what you want to call it, or the potential, or whatever you want to call it. Is that important? And you're saying it's not important. And I
Correct.
think it is.
Right.
I think,
right. I'm saying it's
you know,
not
I
important. And this it boils down to so like this so slight deviation, but also very related because this is ultimately where I come from on it and how I develop this view. But there's like this whole like Black Lives Matter then all lives matter, right? They're sort of like the counter arguments to each other. I actually disagree with both positions. I would state that neither matter nor all lives matter. I always frame it as some, in that I think some lives are more significant or matter more than others. Some matter, some. I would categorize fetuses in general in that category of lives that are less relevant and less significant, and don't have a problem with killing them.
All right, so can you explain to me why some are more important than others, in your opinion?
I think lives I think don't matter, so it's not like socially engineered genocide by one or another, because I think there are white that don't matter. I think there are lives that don't matter. I base it on the sense that if I were to die, my immediate family, absolutely no, I would have zero impact on anyone else's lives. Think of people in France right now who are about their day, absolutely no knowledge that. So if I were to die, I have no impact on even people who live in the same town as me, who have zero idea that I exist. I have zero impact on their lives. So if I were to die, it makes no matter days like it never. So in that sense, I have nothing significant to make my life matter. Some people throughout history do, and they're based on what they do have direct impact on most people's lives. So the President of the United States has a direct impact on millions and millions of lives. So yes, their life isn't. Mine is not.
Right, but if you think about it like that, like of where they are at that moment and how important they are, yes, there's a hierarchy. But if you want to if that's how you want to evaluate it, you have to talk about how what they did to get to that position. They weren't always in that powerful position. They had to start from somewhere to get where they are now. So if you take that viewpoint, then everybody on Earth doesn't matter. And I think that's completely irrelevant.
Most people
not
don't.
true. And I think what you said earlier, you said there's people in your town where you have no influence on them, they don't know they exist, and that you have no impact on them. I don't think that's true either. I think everything you do, every choice you make, impacts someone else, and then therefore will impact someone else, and it's just like a butterfly effect.
Okay, well, there is that. Yeah, I mean that.
Yeah,
in that sense, I do with you, and this is where I get a little sci-fi. I totally multiverse theory. So I think that if in time travel, if you completely go back and change one event, like they didn't buy coffee at a certain time, I think you can create an alternate timeline that you can then follow through, and there'll be a lot of things different. Speculative, I totally buy it. In terms, okay, so Jaya, it doesn't matter about the fetus. It's the women's rights. I mean, that's basically what I'm trying to say. It's that the fetus life doesn't supersede the desires of the mother who is going in for the abortion. The fetus doesn't matter enough to prevent them having an abortion.
Do you want to argue that? We can talk about that.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Is that if it is the value of it is not more important than the mother wanting to have an abortion. Well, I don't think it should be.
Support your argument.
So basically, I mean, most of what I've already been saying. I mean, I think that fetuses they don't have any intrinsic value beyond what they could be, but they could also not be that. And I think as long as you nail it in the first try, when it's still barely even composed of anything, I think that you can can morally, with a clean conscience, just go in and terminate it. Where that starts to get fuzzier is the further along it gets developed. So by the third trimester, I would probably agree with you in that I don't think that third trimester abortion should be permitted. Like I said, there are premature babies who get born at 30 weeks, 28 weeks, stuff like that, who they come out and they're fetuses are not. I don't think they're in.
All right. So what Jay Pie said, honestly, it doesn't matter about the fetus lives, it's about the women's rights. Um, I think that you need to account for all perspectives. Yes, if you're viewing from the woman's perspective, how it's going to like impact her life and the lives of the people around her, there's a lot of negative things that could come from it. But there's also a lot of positive things. View the life of the father. Okay, how's it going to impact him? How's it going to impact the life of the neighbor across the street, or the woman's father, or the woman's mother, or grandfather? And and even though the fetus doesn't have a perspective, try to view it from that perspective. I think a lot of the problems that like our world is like facing, including abortion and gun rights, is because a lot of people only view the perspective that they have, and they don't try to view it from anybody else's point of view. And so I think what she said, that it doesn't matter about the fetus life, is not true at all. Because at one point, everybody here is watching this, anyone that's ever existed was a fetus. And if anybody here right now would say that they matter, like, people who have depression, like, that's a different topic. But I believe that lives matter, and like you can't just discount something because it's not like built. It's like a set of Legos. Like, you have the set, you have everything that you need to make like a Lego tower. You just have to like make it, right? It's the same thing with like a baby. Like, it has the potential to become something, and like it's, I mean, stuff like if the woman's life is going to be that detrimentally affected, then you should give it up for adoption. Like, there's so many different like things that could happen, and I believe in fate. I think that things happen for a reason. So I think that the fetus life matters.
So if someone has an abortion, then that was fate. That was for a reason, and you fear with it.
Well, that's where like human choice comes in.
Oh, okay.
That's what this is.
Oh, okay. I see. I mean, yeah. Going back to what you said about looking at it from like other people's perspectives and making alternative decisions and stuff. I totally hate bitches. It's me. Okay, cool. I totally am for that kind of thing. I mean, my position has never been everyone who gets pregnant should have an abortion. It's just for that option to be available in areas, and then other people say, and then just sort of find that be acceptable. Obviously, I would totally prefer that people give them up for adoption. Obviously, I think people should use condoms and birth control. I don't know where you really stand on that. Don't even think condoms should be a thing.
I mean, if you want to use a condom, go ahead.
All right. I mean, I think so. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that everyone should just rot it and go get an abortion. I think always try the birth control pill, everything. But in the event that the condom breaks, the pill doesn't. In terms of last ditch birth control effort, I think should be option trimester, simply because fetuses
in the first trimester, because you don't think that fetuses matter.
Correct. And them to be.
All right. I had to throw that in there because somebody asked who was who on the stance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of gray areas if we're going to talk about abortion still, or if you want to like keep talking about why fetuses matter versus don't matter.
What gray areas like?
Yeah, like if like a woman gets raped, or if the child has Down syndrome or something that could affect the child's life, those are gray areas.
Yeah, I mean rape, like I think again, because I don't. If you're raped, that off so long.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like another human choice. Like a lot of the things that are like go wrong in our world is because of the choices that people make individually. Like they don't think about why it's like how it's gonna affect someone else.
Let's talk about how hot Kaylee is, please. I mean, Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, I'm not, yeah, I don't know how I feel about the whole baby deformed or have Down syndrome or something, and they're aborting it simply because of that. On the one hand, I mean, if you're okay, this is gonna be radical or like.
No, just go
But
ahead and
anyway,
say
but
it.
I mean, in that sense, I could make the case that you would be then getting rid of undesirables in society. If you know that you're going to have someone who is going to be either just ostracized in society due to their deformity or something, you are preventing that. And if they're going to be worthless and non-contributing, then why would you want that? Why would you bring that inside? Spare the world by not bringing it into existence.
But like, who are you to decide what that child's going to do? Like, you nobody can tell you what you are, what you're not going to do. Like, you decide that for yourself.
Right. No, I mean, well, that's why I'm advocating. I mean, you could make that. I'm not necessarily going to make it. I mean, in general, yeah, I would be opposed to. I personally would be opposed to aborting babies because you found out they were going to have Down syndrome or something.
You're
But
opposed to that.
in general, I would say, yeah, I would.
All right.
I
So
would,
I'm
I
very
wouldn't
confused because
necessarily condone that.
so you don't condone killing a fetus just because it has Down syndrome, but you think that killing a fetus is okay because they don't matter.
Fetus. Again, so the terminology is slightly. I mean, even there's some gray areas in terms of when you stop it as a fetus, you start referring to it as your baby or whatever. Because obviously, I don't think there's any way to tell whether or not it's going to have Down syndrome until it's significantly developed during the, and by that point, I the place where it could actually be born early. So that's, I think, at the point where you would actually be able to tell whether or not they're going to have Down syndrome. And in that sense, yeah, I would generally not be cool with that. But if you are,
So where does your morality kick in there?
my morality would kick in the sense that anytime, I guess, towards the veering toward the trimester, which is, you could say, completely arbitrary, but I don't know. I tend to think most morality is so. But I would say around there, the more it gets developed, anytime in the first, 36 divided by 3, something like that. I don't know, whatever that would be. In those first initial weeks, anytime in there, if you want to pull the plug, I don't have a problem with it.
So this whole debate, I've kind of been going off of what you said. The fetus lives don't matter. It's actually 40 weeks.
Okay, divided by, so yeah.
But I personally think that at the moment of conception, at the moment of pregnancy, that the baby's life is a life. And like when people announce that they're pregnant, they don't say, "Oh, I'm pregnant with a fetus right now." They say, "I'm having a baby." Like that baby has the potential to become a human being.
But as in like future tense, like I will in apparently 40 weeks we'll have a baby. And even if you go with that at the moment of conception, you've created a human. I would, if I guess, okay, I'll grant that. And exactly, you've created a human life that currently does not matter.
Well, if you're going to talk about
as much as other.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, keep going. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So if you're gonna like talk about it in terms of development, that the cell is going to develop eventually into a human life at like the moment of birth or whenever you think that it becomes a life, then talk about it in development in terms of childhood to adulthood, right? Children can't make decisions on their own initially. Yeah, I'll be there in a second. No. Sorry, that's my sister.
All right.
But what was I saying? Oh, the childhood. So like a child like is born as a baby, he becomes an infant, becomes a child, becomes a young adult, and then an adult and that's when they're like self-thinking, self-actualized, and that's when they have the potential that like you were referring to as undesirable if they're not like influencing society. And I think that if you're gonna count it as a life when they're birthed, then they should be counted as life at the moment of conception. Sorry, I can't speak for some reason, but and in that sense, I believe that fetuses matter because they have the potential to become something, and it's not your choice to decide when or if they can't. So that's what I think.
Okay. So
and you can argue that if you want.
I think I will, for the purposes of this argument, that life may be conception. And so, what was I gonna say? So yeah, I mean, I think even if granting that, I would say it's still the more point that I think where we're in conflict is whether or not it is acceptable to kill human life. I'll say yes, because I find fetuses to be not important in their current state. I would say, I mean, even there are cases of like fully grown developed adults where I would say I would have absolutely zero problems with them in cases like war. So like if I'm in this scenario to do such a thing, but if I were to kill a member of ISIS, I don't know them or their life, their family. So if I were them, because they're so insignificant and I don't have any very high regard for them. So if I were to kill a member of ISIS, I'd be totally zero moral guilt. And I think I would apply almost the same kind of standard to fetuses.
All right. So as my counter argument, I'm going to say, I'm going to bring up an argument that I've heard before. It's not mine, but I'll bring it up and you can talk about it. So when you're killing the fetus, you're killing the potential for it to become anything. So yes, this fetus could become like a radical, like religious person who kills people, which that's funny because you're saying like ISIS is bad. Why are they bad? Right? Because they don't respect the human life and like they're killing people, which is the same thing that you're talking about with abortion. Anyways, that's not what I'm trying to say. Yes, like they could become something bad, right? They could become an Adolf Hitler or Saddam Hussein or like a really bad person in our viewpoints. But they could also have the potential to become something really like amazing. They could become like a cancer, like they could solve a great world problem or be like a philosopher or a religious scholar or like an engineer, doctor, anything. And I think that it's not our place to choose for the child. I think that we should give that option to the child itself. Like it's just it's crazy to me that like people can like think that it's okay to like choose for someone else. Like I think that that's not okay.
Okay, so I mean, so yeah, they could grow up to be someone who has the cure for cancer. They could,
Right.
and we have no way of ascertaining that.
Right.
That would be the case. And so in that sense, purely speculative appeals to emotion. I don't really care. So again, anything that choose them, as I've said repeatedly, I think most of it is we already have a cure for cancer, but they make too much money off of chemo. So, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So some watches Alex Jones. So and his lunacy. Yeah, I mean, it's never that I'm trying to like engineer to kill all fetuses. It's just in certain cases, I think it should be an option as a method of birth control. I would morally justify it simply by reducing the value of fetuses.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't apply. So, well, okay, so ISIS, and why do I view them negatively? Because they don't respect human life. But again, it would be like, I would just, like, back what I said about a hierarchy of human life, and that they're not respecting human life of humans that I would value and put a degree of value on their life, and more so than I fetus. I would say a higher status as life than a fetus does.
Okay.
So that's really my entire case, in that I think fetuses, if you are as a human life, is a human life that has a significantly, vastly lower status than other forms of. And given that, I think that they don't matter. That was mostly hyperbole, but
Yeah, I mean,
phrasing would have been so. What phrasing what I'm saying, that they, in a sense, don't matter, and that I don't have any problems with terminating them. Instances in these cases, obviously, again, I'm not saying everyone should just go out and have an abortion.
Yeah. Like I mean, I think that in the current state there is a hierarchy and like level of importance of people. But like I said this earlier in the debate for people that are listening now, but like the people of that importance had to start from somewhere. They weren't always in that position, right? And I think that given the same opportunities and the same like environment, people can choose what they want to do. Like, and I don't think that it's okay for us to choose that for them. You know what I mean? I actually have to go now. That's why my sister came up earlier. But
All right, cool.
it was good talking. Man.
Yeah, cool. Peace.